So the first, let's talk about cracking this examination. So this examination, first of all, first thing you have to think about what kind of factors which count, what is the basic personality traits, which is a basic thing which is needed to crack this examination. So the answer to this question somewhere is in the same slide in a picture that says that you have to first of all remove all kind of negative assumptions, that self doubts that you can do or you cannot do it. First of all, you have to know this, that you can do this very well. There is nothing which is actually stopping you from doing it except for your own uh, mental blocks. So first step to take this journey is to overcome your self doubts. That is very important, and that is something which you people have to do it yourself uh, by help of introspection and reflection. So, most of the young candidates who dream of being an IAS, IRS, IFS, there are many services. We will introduce all the services to you, and uniform services like IPS services. What kind of personality characteristics are needed? So, to begin with, first one is self belief. That is the first one. Now let's move forward and see what else is needed. So first of all, I would like to break three important myths, which are generally among the beginners. So those myths are about, first is that it is an extremely difficult exam, which is not true. It is not an extremely difficult examination. It is just what it needs is just a systematic approach, and provided you are having a correct guidance, so surely you can crack it in a first attempt. So that is the important thing. So it's not nothing called as difficult examination. And next important myth is that it needs a study of 10 hours, a study of daily or such kind of, some numbers are thrown up regularly. We see so many people talking about it, like 10 hours, 12 hours, maybe 15 hours. Now all these are actually baseless rumors, because we all of those who are cracking this examination are all uh, are all the human beings, normal human beings, and you can do it. You can do it without this thing of 10 hours or 12 hours. It can be easily done. Okay. The only thing which is needed is whatever you study, you make sure that you get the maximum out of that time limit. Whatever time you are able to invest. If you are able to invest on an average 3 hours to 4 hours a daily, but those 3 to 4 hours are fruitful to you, that much is sufficient. So no need of unnecessarily creating false imagery. So next important myth is about that only super intelligent people who have an excellent academic record throughout, maybe in 10 and 10 plus 2, only they can break this examination, which again is not true. Okay, this is not a true thing, that those who are only scoring about 95% or such things can only crack this examination. So as we shall see here itself today itself in the subsequent slides. So the first step, the journey begins with a desire. You need a strong desire and a self-belief, coupled with a proper guidance. Friends, guidance in this field just helps you save the time. There is nothing that you cannot do yourself, but it is about saving time, because one suppose if you try to do learn things by the way of experimentation, you will just lose years, because there are three stages, as I've explained to you. Any stage you fail, you have to wait for 1 full year for next year to appear. So, how many hours you need to study? See, most of you people have crossed 10 plus 2 level. So, I hope during 10 plus 2 level you will be putting 4 to 5 hours of daily study. That much is sufficient. You don't need anything extra. Next is most important thing is, whatever you study, you have to have a very attentive mind. That is where the skill comes in, and that is where you have to be guided how to develop a very great attention, so that your mind is always living in the present moment, and those 4 hours or 3 hours are giving you a lot of benefit. So that is the art, how to train your mind to be focused and attentive. That is an art. It happens slowly, but the journey begins with the one step that you have to take. Now, so the answer is a strong desire. If you have the strong desire, I would actually suggest all of you, anyone who wants to take up this challenge, not to take up this challenge just because of your parents want you to be an IS officer or because of peer pressure. Only if you yourself want it, because this is an extremely challenging field. Challenges are there, those who love to take challenges, but yes, it is a quite it will evolve you as a person. You will feel a lot of new development in terms of personality within yourself. So it is a very good field in that sense. And the benefit is you will get an opportunity to contribute to the India that is emerging on the world stage. Now the India is emerging, India is becoming more and more assertive, and we have seen our prime minister talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the new story is unleashing, and if you want to be the part of this new story, definitely this field is for you. So then let's move forward. Yes, right guidance is very much needed, and the focus. Focus is about how to focus your mind. There are certain practices, some kind of meditative practices are there, which to train your mind to have a better attention span and a good focus. So I would like to now come to give you some example of some candidates. There are many, more than thousand such examples are there. But few examples I will give you just to break those kind of myths. See, you can meet Avinash Sharan. So he is currently posted in Chhattisgarh, already an IAS officer, and you can look at the score that he has got in 10th and 10 plus 2. He in the 10th he just not even scored 50% of the marks. So it means you don't have to go by this rule that need to have be very academically brilliant all throughout. Only then you are having a good chance of cracking this examination. That is not so. You can even be an average student, but the provided for the next 1 year you are completely committed and devoted. So that is what is needed. Now meet Shivaguru P. So he has scored 101st rank in 2017, and he was coming from a very humble background. There are many countless such stories. The people who have overcome so many challenges. There have been mothers who have been taking care of their family, their children, and yet cracking the examination. There have been people who have been doing their job, and without quitting the job they have been successful in cracking the examination. So again, this is also a myth that you have to devote 10-12 hours, because obviously a married lady cannot devote 10 to 12 hours for studies. Maximum 3 to 4 hours, that is what she can afford. That same is the case for any working professional. So that all these are the myths, and they have to be broken. Before I move further, now just meet this person. He is Muhammad Ali Sahib. He is from Kerala itself, from Malappuram district, and he cracked in 2011. He is also coming from a very humble background, but he was extremely hardworking, and he used to sell bamboo baskets. So obviously he had to tend for himself, and so he didn't have too much of time to spare for studies. So these were some examples just to break this myth that this you need 10-12 hours and academically brilliant students, such things. And now these things is this is just a kind of some tentative milestones that we can see later. So friends, with this we come to the end of my first presentation. Now I'll take you to the next presentation, which is about the scheme of examination. I would want to talk about what is the scheme of examination. So let me first talk about the scheme of examination. Later on in the last section, I will talk about the eligibility criteria and other such factors. So friends, the scheme of examination consists of 3 stages. First stage is a preliminary stage, generally called as pre. That's it. So many people call it prelims. Normally people will call it pre. So next stage is about mains examination, and the third stage, in a general language term, we call it interview, but officially the name is personality test. So these are the 3 stages. Now we'll take these stages one by one. So First one is the pre-examination, and this is called the screening stage, friends. So screening means actually the number of people who are attending this examination every year is going up. Year by year, it is going up. So in 2017, there were around 50, more than 15 lakh appeared in the examination. 15 lakh. Okay, and out of 15 lakh students, the first stage, that is the screening stage, is only cleared by around 8,000 students. Only 8,000 candidates. So that is called a screening stage. All the remaining people are considered as non-serious candidates. So friends, it is not a very big thing to crack the pre. Okay, you will get a quite ahead in race just at the very beginning. Okay, just by cracking the pre-examination. So pre-examination date has been announced this year, few days back. Next year, the pre-examination is will be held on June 27th. So it is approximately 9 months from now. Uh, then notification will be coming on February 1st in 2021, and the last date for applying for this form will be March 2nd, 2021. So anyone who is in the last year of the examination of your graduation, he or she is eligible. The last year students are eligible provided you are 21 years of age. So in that case, I will come to the eligibility criteria. Don't worry, I'll do that in a bit more detail. So actually, this year it is because of Corona issue that the exam is little bit delayed. If you are planning to take it in 2022, then hopefully the examination will be happening on March, 1 month before this date. So 2022, the expected date would be May end, not the June end. It would be around May end. That would be the date in 2022. That is mostly expected. Now let's move forward. So stage one is having a pre-exam. It is having two papers. Both the papers are compulsory papers. Okay, friends. In this, each paper is having 200 marks each, and both the papers are having objective type questions, which we call it as multiple choice questions. And the duration for each of them is 2 hours each. So now let's talk about both the papers one by one. So first paper is about general studies, paper 1. And friends, the marks is obtained in paper 1, only those marks are counted for the merit list. Then what is the purpose of paper 2? That I will come to that later. But whatever marks you score in the paper 1, only those marks are counted for the merit list. And every year there are around 800 vacancies. The number changes a little bit, fluctuates up and down. But around, as an approximation, there are around 800 vacancies, and 10 times that number, that is around 8,000 candidates will cross this screening stage. Out of 15 lakh applicants, around 15 lakh applicants, only 8,000 will cross the screening stage. Those candidates are only deemed to be as serious candidates. Others have not done the serious preparation. Okay, for crossing this stage, I will tell you more about how to cross this stage. You have to have a general idea about the entire syllabus. You cannot afford to go to the examination after leaving a portion of syllabus. So syllabus is also there. We will tell you about those things. Then next paper is paper 2, general studies, paper 2. Okay, before I tell about the content of paper 2, let me tell you that in paper 1, what kind of things will be there in the part of syllabus. So you need to know a bit of history, geography, then science, then general science, not very difficult, up to the 10th level science. Okay, they will not ask you some very difficult concepts, only the 10th level science. Then current affairs is the most important part. Current affairs are all the events which are of national and international importance. Those events which are of the importance only up to the level of municipality or panchayat or gram panchayat level, those are not important to us. Only national level importance current affairs are important for us. Next, apart from that, you need to understand a little bit about economy, and then polity, that is the governance structure, constitution, and such things are there. All these things are there in the paper 1 syllabus. Coming to the paper 2 is the marks of paper 2 are not counted. This examination is qualifying paper. It means in this examination you have to cross a basic threshold level. that threshold level has been set as 33% of the maximum marks. Maximum marks is 200. So out of 200, you have to score more than 66 marks. If you are scoring then, if you are scoring more than 66, then you are crossing this threshold level, and your paper one marks will be taken into account for deciding the final merit. So this is the nature of paper two, and the language in which the paper will be set will be two, like Hindi and English. It will be bilingual. One thing I want to highlight before I move further is that there will be a one-third negative marking. So the guesswork is heavily penalized. Anyone who is indulging in guesswork, you will get a negative marking, and obviously you will be not be able to clear this first stage of the examination. So friends, this was a general overview about the preliminary examination. Now let's come to the stage two, that is called knowledge test. Actually, it is called mains, and basically it is testing your knowledge. Next year, the date of mains examination is 17th of September. Okay, and it means there is a 80-day gap between the pre-exam and the mains exam. So friends, actually, if those who are aware about the syllabus, 80 days is very less time to cover the syllabus of mains. It means before the pre-examination, you have to be ready with you have to prepare the around 70 to 80% of the main syllabus before the pre-exam itself. Because after pre-exam, if you are thinking to study about mains, then 80 days are quite insufficient to prepare that much of thing. So now let's see how many papers are there in the mains exam. So friends, first of all, this mains exam is about the subjective paper, answer writing, where you have to write essay type questions. It is not objective. Okay. Now in total there are 9 papers, and these 9 papers are conducted in a duration of 5 days. Okay, in during these 5 days, 9 papers are conducted. Each day you will be having 2 papers. That way, total 9 papers are there. Now let's talk about the papers. What kind of papers are there? And first is the qualifying papers. So there you have paper A and paper B. So in paper A, the paper is of a regional language. There are 22 languages. Anyone you can choose. Anyone who is more comfortable in Tamil can choose Tamil. Anyone who is comfortable in Hindi can choose Hindi. Likewise, any other regional language, if you are comfortable. Someone may be from Konkan area, so Konkani language, or Sanskrit. If someone wants to take Sanskrit, they can take Sanskrit also. So otherwise, mostly you people will be taking Malayalam, I guess. So this is a language paper. It is of 300 marks, total maximum marks. Likewise, paper 2 is a English paper, that is also 300 marks. So both the papers, that I will tell you about the standard of the paper. Standard of paper is 10 plus 2. You need to have that much level of language proficiency, that is of 10 plus 2 level. So no need to go for graduation level. No need to have a bachelor of arts in the certain language. Only a 10 plus 2 level is needed. There you will have some kind of passages, suppose translating Malayalam passage into English and translating English passage back to Malayalam. That way you will have some questions, or finding out grammatical errors in certain certain sentences, and making a summary of a passage which is already given to you. These are the kind of questions which are coming in the examination. We need not take this paper also too lightly. We need to little bit prepare for it. So these are the first 2 papers. But again, here is something called as qualifying paper. It means the marks, whatever marks you obtain in this paper, these marks are not counted, friends, for the merit list. This is just to ensure that you cross the basic threshold level. It means you have to score just 33% of marks in both the papers. Thereafter, those marks will be useless. First, if you have crossed 33%, then you go to the stage 2 of the same mains examination. If you have not crossed, then your remaining papers will not be corrected. Okay, so that's how it is. Now let's look at those 7 papers whose marks will be counted. So yeah, these are the papers whose marks will be counted for merit list, for preparing the merit list. So first paper is an essay paper, which is a 250 marks paper, and all these papers are, friends, of 3 hour duration. As I told you, every day you will have 2 papers, and there will be around 3 hour gap between 2 papers. So you will get a less relaxing time. So each paper is of 3 hour duration. So first paper is essay paper. Next paper is general studies paper one. Now, what kind of things are asked in general studies paper one? Indian heritage and culture. Okay, Indian heritage and culture. Then, which includes history, and then history and geography of the world and society. Little bit of basics about Indian society also. You are expected to know to cross this paper. Now, talking of general studies paper two. In paper 2, you have governance, constitution and polity, social justice, and international relations. Now, paper 3. In paper 3, you have technology, economic development, biodiversity, security, disaster management, and environment. So, all these are the topics. Detailed syllabus is also available. We can provide to you. Then paper 4 is about ethics and integrity. There they will give you some kind of case studies and ask that what kind of action you will take in such a scenario. It will be a most probably a dilemma kind of scenario. So that those case studies will be testing your ethics and integrity. That is about and aptitude also. So after this, friends, there is a list of total 48 papers, subjects, out of which any one you can select as an optional paper based on your liking. Suppose you may even choose your graduation paper as an optional paper. So we have mechanical engineering, we have civil engineering, and electrical engineering also is there in the optional list of optional subjects. So you can choose those papers also. And others for other engineering, suppose your optional is not present, so you can choose from the remaining list of 48, any one you can choose. So whatever optional paper you choose, each optional paper will have two question papers. So that is paper 1 and paper 2. So these complete total 9 papers, friends, and total having 250 marks each. It sums up to 1750 marks. So that is the total of mains marks, and out of this, your merit list is prepared. Now, after this mains stage, this was a subjective, like you have to write essay kind of answers. Personality test will happen after 3 to 3.5 months of this mains stage. If you clear the mains stage, you will be called for personality test. And as I told you that around 8,000 students were writing the mains. Out of 8,000 students, only 1,800 will be writing the third stage, will be coming to this stage, that is called personality test. And personality test is having 275 marks instead of 250 marks. It is having 275 marks. And finally, out of 1,800 students, those who clear this stage, only around 800 to 900 candidates are getting included in the final merit list. So final merit list is decided based on the grand total marks. So grand total of maximum marks is 2,025 marks. Let me give you an idea. If out of 2,025, anyone who is securing 50% of the marks, that means around 1,000 marks, definitely you can be All India rank number 1. So if securing 50% of the marks in mains and interview is quite a challenge, and but with a regular practice, it can be achieved. So friends, there are many stories every year. Many people are cracking this exam. So before I move, this is, I think all these things I have, what is written over here, I have already told to you. So I will just skip some of the slides because I want to come to the last section, that is the eligibility section. Yeah, this is the list of all the optional subjects, out of which you can choose any one of the optional: agriculture, animal husbandry, anthropology, botany, chemistry, civil engineering, commerce and accountancy, economics, electrical engineering, geography, geology, history, law, management, mathematics, mechanical engineering, medical science, philosophy, physics, political science and international relations, psychology, public administration, sociology, statistics, zoology, or literature subject of any of the following languages, in which Malayalam is also an option, Tamil is also an option, English is also an option, Sanskrit, or any of the language, you can choose the literature of that language. So many options are there. Out of any of these options, you can choose your one optional. And one important thing, friends, that government in the notification says that they want to have a gender balance in the workforce. It means that they are encouraging the women candidate to apply. That is a very important thing. It means slightly women candidates are getting little bit of encouragement. Otherwise, it is a fair play. It is a level playing field. But women candidates, the government wants them to apply. So that is you should consider. And apart from this, one more thing I would like to add that uh, all those of you like the college, those who are in college and all, like this is the best time to start the preparations, because by the time you end up completing your graduation, that time you are eligible to take the exam. If you wait to end your graduation, thereafter you start the preparation, it will be a wastage of time and resources, all kind of resources. So but if you start right now, there you will get a clear advantage of 1 to 2 years. So now I'll move forward, and all these points I have already explained to you. Yes, one important thing is about handwriting. Handwriting need not be, very artistic in nature. It, even if it is legible, that is sufficient, good enough. But if it is not legible, then there will be a penalty marks. So handwriting, for that you just have to ensure that it is legible. That much is sufficient. Thereafter, the most important thing for mains is that when you write, now as everyone has a different style of writing, but you have to ensure that that whatever you write you write in an orderly manner, and it is having an effective and exact expression, and in a due economy of words. In minimum words, you have to express maximum things. That is, you have to ensure a due economy of words. So this is very important. That is called effective and exact expression. So the more effective and exact expressions you use while writing your answers, more likely you are to score high in the mains examination. So friends, this is all about the this thing. Calculators are not allowed, like programmable calculators are not allowed. Then interview board, yeah, interview board is a very competent board, generally having retired bureaucrats in the board. And what kind of things do they look for? They look for the certain personality characteristics, and they will be asked talking about you. See, first of all, I want to make it clear, friends. Interview is not a knowledge test; it is a personality test. Your knowledge has been tested at the mains level. So if any of you feels that you don't know the question or you don't know the answer, it is quite okay to simply say, "Sir, I don't know." No need to try to bluff, and no need to try to unnecessary make up for this thing. That will be caught, and it will be considered as a negative thing. So better to be very honest and straightforward. That is the best way to approach the interview. And then in front of them, they will be having a record of your entire career, and like from which place you belong to, and they will be accordingly asking to you. But it's okay if you don't know anything, you can say no. That is okay. They are more interested in your personality characteristics. Now, what kind of personality characteristics? They want to judge your mental caliber of the candidate, and not only of his intellectual qualities, but also social qualities, your interest in current affairs. And these are the qualities that they are looking for: variety and depth of interest, mental alertness, ability for social cohesion, critical powers of assimilation, means understanding something, then leadership qualities, clear and logical exposition, intellectual and moral integrity, that is very important. Next is the balance of judgment. These are the some of the things that they are looking for you inside you as a prospective IAS officer. So, and the exam and the interview is conducted in a very very cordial atmosphere. It is not a stress interview. And with this, friends, we have come to the end of this session again. And now I would like to share with you the third slide and the third important thing. Just 10 minutes are remaining, and don't worry, within 10 minutes I will cover what about the eligibility criteria. So let me come to the eligibility criteria. So talking about the eligibility criteria, for first of all is the nationality. Obviously, Indian nationals are allowed. Apart from Indian, people from Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibetan refugees are also allowed. So then age limits. Age limit is 21 years to 32 years for the general candidate. Okay, and the age is counted as on 1st of August of that year. whichever year you are appearing the exam. If on that year, 1st of August, you are acquiring 21 years of age, you are eligible for the examination. And for general candidates, it's up to 32 years. So within this period, you can take, general candidates can take 6 attempts. The number of attempts for general candidate is 6 within this time period. Then for SC/ST candidates, the upper age limit has been relaxed by 5 years. So that makes up till 37 years you can take the exam. Now for OBC candidates, you can take the exam up till 35 years. There's an age relaxation of 3 years. Now for people belonging to defense services, again there's a relaxation of 3 years. And ex-servicemen who have had a 5 years of service, for them the relaxation is for 5 years. And those especially abled persons who have like a locomotor disability or having a problem in hearing or having low vision, so or even the acid attack victims, for such people the age relaxation is up for 10 years, so they can take examination up till 42 years of age. Now date of birth, as I have told you, um, will be counted. Okay, date of birth will be counted up to from the your school leaving certificate. Okay, based on your school leaving certificate, your date of birth is calculated. Now, a minimum educational qualification, that is, friends, degree from any of the recognized universities, that is deemed, or the university under UGC Act. Okay, under UGC Act, if it is recognized, then or any of the equivalent qualification. If anyone who is completing the graduation, even the final year students can apply, provided by the time the actual mains examination happen, even if you don't have a degree is not getting to you, but at least the provisional degree that you have cleared the this graduation, that much is sufficient. So friends, with this, I think we have come to the end of this section also. I have told you the number of attempts for general category students is 6 attempts. And for OBC candidates, there are 9 attempts. For SC/ST, there is no restriction on the number of attempts. They can take exam each year, starting from 21 up till 37 years of age.
Mahaguru Institute of Technology. Good results, university ranks and excellent placements every year. Mahaguru Institute of Technology, Kayamkulam.